everybody. Michelle is here. Hope everybody's doing fantastic, magnificent, and wonderful because I am. So Saturday morning. I'm up my usual time, but I do have an appointment today, you know, regarding things I'm working on. So I was just outside looking around in the yard and the garden, and I can like I said, I can tell there's a lot of damage. Not a lot of damage, but there's a change in what my garden looks like based on pictures I have of it before, um, and how it looks like the plants are just exhausted. The trees and the plants, they're just exhausted, and that could be just my opinion, or it can just be delusional too, right? We can all slip into delusion at any time, and that's basically what I wanted to come in here and say is that when it comes to certain things, when the damage is done, the damage is done. Okay. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, I mean, it means in most cases, um, most things are irreplaceable. Um, I mean, the damage is done. So, what has to be done is what we've done over the centuries and over the millennia is we just patch up stuff. Put band-aids on things and just hope that that will take care of the matter instead of looking at the look instead of looking at the actual cause of stuff. We just patch it up like potholes. We'll fill up potholes a billion times a year, but not ask ourselves, why do we have so many potholes? Isn't that a sign of a problem with the infrastructure? But hey, what do I know, right? So that's what we do. We just kind of patch things up and move on, and we don't do anything about changing our behaviors, our actions, or even go into deeper questions as to why are potholes always popping up. Okay, even in drought areas, there's potholes, by the way. So, you know, the damage has been done. And I think from now on, until whenever, um, it'll be just patchwork. And it'll be this constant navigation of making sure you are safe and that you survive, okay, and that that you don't receive a lot of damage per se, or you're not injured per se. So it's going to be always one of those kind of things where you will constantly have to weigh your options, and there's not many options, by the way. Like I said, all I remember is we have one Earth. I don't know of any other Earth. And then think about it. How are you going to get to that? If there were another Earth, how would you get there? All right. I've said a lot in my videos, my earlier videos, and there's a lot of them out there that we ought to have been like Star Trek, or Star Wars, all over the galaxy and exploring this and exploring that. But no, we're basically stuck in a bubble of our self creation. In other words, we are stuck where it's next to impossible. And these are my theories and opinions. Present your own. Where we're in a bubble where we're stuck and nobody will will risk their lives in saving us. Now there are some things that might happen that may be nefarious in nature, meaning, yeah, we'll save you, but you know what I mean? Yeah, we'll come in and save you, but it's going to always be those type of exchanges, as it has been with everything else. People will offer you salvation, and then what do? They end up enslaving you. All right? Everything's the same concept, the same metaphors, it's the same literally, but we don't pick it up. We don't consider it. We don't think about it. We just kind of go with the program. And so I said to myself, and I've said this as well, as whatever I am. Let me just call myself a human being. How about that? Without whatever. as a human being, okay, I pay attention to everything. And that's because I have a dominant and a favorite perception of vision. Okay, that's a favorite thing of mine, to be a visionary. Some people have an ear and they love music, they love sounds. And then people that are in their feelings, they're more into, emotions about the planet, about animals, about human beings. They have that kind of connection. And then, of course, everything else that goes into, our package as a human being. How about that? We have all these benefits inside of ourselves that we don't even use, to help us get through certain things. I told you I used to have all these dreams when I was a young girl that was basically was mapping out paths for me. I didn't know what they were. I just know that they were vivid dreams. That's all I know. Sometimes they were lucid, where it's like I was right there, and chances are I was. Okay, I told you how one dream I was walking on a surface. It was like, I think it was like white sand, and then when I lifted it with my hands, it was cold, really cold sand, and I was like, wow, well, what region of area has that? I mean, I haven't experienced that. And then I started having other dreams about, flashes of stuff, boom, 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 and then when I can remember, and funny enough, it happened in either 2020. I think it happened in 2022. No, it happened before I retired. In 2021, say 2020, 2021, I was having another flashes of vision of stuff, and they were like sparks. They were like, like a spark. Like, okay, if so my point is, your life is mapped out for you, but we are mostly delusional, where we are in our beliefs, we're in our supernatural, we're in our faith, we're in our, we're just in our own bubble of our reality. Fine, stay there. We're in our own capsules of reality. Stay there, okay? Because what's going to happen is a lot of your capsules are going to be buried, and then somebody's going to come along late in the future, well into the future, bury up your capsules, and think, wow, okay, wow, what happened to these people? What were they thinking? You know, you know. And I consider myself a storyteller too, by the way, for these intellectual talking heads. All right. Oh, jeez. Creative. I'm into creativity. I'm into expressing myself, and I use a lot of visuals, because that's how I express myself. All right. I just want to make sure that's understood. So, yes, a lot of people are gonna bury themselves in their own capsules, and that's their capsules of beliefs, supernatural, faith, self righteousness, passive aggressiveness. I mean, a lot of people are just going to be buried in that, in their own little capsule. Fine, and a lot of people enjoy those type of aspects of themselves. They enjoy being so-called independent, because that's what they think. They think they're being independent when they have these beliefs and these kind of structures of how they think. And then anybody coming in and trying to warn them and tell them otherwise, okay, they'll go against you with the series of force that you don't want to bother. It's really not even worth bothering that type of personalities, or that I call them self-created entities or whatever. It's really too late anyway. And this can be our friends, our family, people we love, people we care about. We're going to have to, at some point, just let them drift away. And what do I mean by drift away? They may be physically there, but then they're not there. Okay, some of them are going to suffer from severe mental illnesses. Some going to have dementia, Alzheimer's, or however they say it, Alzheimer's. Because I remember with my mom, like I said, when I was the last one to leave, prior to that, I knew she was suffering from something. Okay, and I think maybe she had a moment in her life where she realized that some of the dreams she wanted to accomplish, she will not be able to. And she probably allowed that negativity, that encasement of negativity to be overwhelming, because it's overwhelming. Anybody that tells you that they're going through depression, they could tell you it's more of a physical overwhelmingness. It's physically overwhelming when you're depressed. That's why a lot of them stay in bed. They can't get out of bed. And that's how it was for her. She just could not get out of bed. And I did all I could do, but like I said, sometimes you just have to step out of the way and stop interfering with people and let them just, as long as she wasn't hurting herself, she wasn't. I mean, and at the same time, I'm still responsible and accountable for me, right? And my development and my moving on. And so that's what I chose to do. Because like I said, my father was there. The two of them made that agreement that they would be there through thick and thin, sickness and health. And they honored that. Both of them honored that agreement, that bonding, that commitment to each other, which is very rare. And we know that. Let's be honest. Nobody's, the people that are in their 30s now, I mean, if you live to 50, but to say that you'll be in a long-term 50 plus relationship, nah, I doubt that will happen. So, yeah, I see a phone call coming in, but I'll just let it come in, and hopefully they'll leave a voice message. So the point of the matter is, it's too late for a lot of things to be reversed. Everything's irreversible. And the most that we could do is accept that, but not get ourselves caught up and in the madness of it all, especially the ones that are trying to help. Don't be lending a hand to someone who's attempting to pull you in instead of you pulling them out. They're attempting to pull you in to their negativity and then you're going to be stuck in there with them. And then you'll be in a whirlpool as well. And then you're going to see how overwhelming it is to get out of it. I mean, look what's happening when you go to the beach. These people get sucked up in a whirlpool, some type of surge, and they can't get out. And then you attempt to go in there and get them out, and you're going to be surged in there as well. So, I mean, if you're paying attention, the planet is pointing to you about what the possibilities are for your life. All right, so you don't want to be pulled into negativity. Even though we're all encased in it, a lot of people still want to pull you into certain things and drag you down. You're going to have to just let that hand go. Whether it's your family member, your partner, your friends, associates, your employees. So the damage has been done. I can tell it. I can look. I pay attention to my garden. I know. Yeah, I can tell the plants and all. Plants and trees. They feel they're exhausted. You know what I mean? And and rightly so. We cut down all these trees to build all these housing. Okay, so I guess we're gonna have to get to a point to, all right, what's more important, housing for people or plants and trees in an environment? But there's a way to neutralize all of that. That's all I'm saying. Don't go extreme worrying so much about the homelessness. What about the environment as well? The infrastructure. Why are so many potholes? Isn't that a wake-up call? Okay, when that seaweed came through on the ocean, was that a wake-up call? Okay, the smoke, the billow of smoke in certain East Coast areas, the Northeast Coast, are we paying attention? Is anybody? And then when they say about the sinking of certain places, the melting of the glaciers, So I was very happy to see one of my relatives too. I'm gonna contact her. She went on a travel out of the country, and She put a lot of pictures up, and in most of the pictures she was eating, honey. That's my type of girl right there, because that's what I would be doing too, enjoying the food. But in all those pictures, I can tell it was like suffocating for her because there's so many people. And I'm going to talk to her about that because I think that was the one thing that she'll probably admit, that it was suffocatingly overpopulated. But yet she still was able to enjoy certain statues and monuments and this and that and the other. So I'm proud of her. That's what I do things for, is for these young women. I do it for them. I do it for the young black women as well. I do this for them. And we all need to do what we can for people that we care about. All right? Like I said, black culture creates brilliancy and excellence. And it always has. And it always will. Okay? So I was glad that she was able to be there up front and touch it. Because I know I told you my parents wanted to travel. My mom wanted to travel. She wanted to travel to a favorite place where everybody wants to go. They want to be movie stars and, see the movie stars. That's what she was into. She was heavily into movie stars and, these high profile figures, but she never got a chance to do that. So I'm hoping to kind of, venture out as well and see what I can see. I'd rather see things, where I can see it at a level where if I need to get out of my vehicle and take a look, I can do that. I can't do that on a train. I can't do it in a plane. So that's why driving is going to be perfect for me. And everybody needs to find their way of doing it. And it's not for a vacation. This is for exploration. I'm doing this to explore and see what my energy picks up as well, and see how I can relate to the environment, because I love the environment. I love the outdoors. Okay, I want to socialize more with people of like-mindedness. I want to be around a group of like-mindedness, and be in an intimate relationship and blah 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 blah, and see what this world has to offer. And I suggest other people do this as well. Okay, it's too late to reach the maximum amount of people, or let me just say this: it's too late to reach the majority of amount of people on this planet. We're getting into 10 billion plus. Okay, we can say 9 billion, 10 billion plus. There's no way anyone can reach that many people in time. So I would focus on making sure you don't get yourself wrapped up in that vicious whirlpool of negativity or degeneration, because it can happen, because it's all energy. So that's why you have to be mindful all the time, and make sure you understand the rhetoric you get yourself involved in. Do you need to be responding to every little? Not necessarily. And you ought to know better too. Do you need to be battling people about their opinions and theories? No, you do not. You have free will. So the sooner people snap out of that, I think the better. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how high you take your consciousness or how high you raise your vibration, you can still degenerate. And usually that type of personality cause more massive damage than anything, because first of all, they should know better. And secondly, because of that, their high vibrational and high consciousness, I mean, they know how to navigate through. They usually become malicious and jealous and envy and hatred, and so it gets more extreme and intense and more impactful and more destructive and chaotic. And it's because of self-hate. High consciousness people can hate themselves too. All right, they can look in the mirror and hate what they see, because that's what we do sometimes when we start degenerating. We forget about that it's a spiritual thing, and we start looking at our physical, and we wonder why people don't want to go out with us. It starts to get that low level-ish. Nobody wants to go out with me. Nobody wants me to touch them. I make people's skin crawl. I scare people away from me. That's what's happening to a lot of high developed people. They've allowed themselves to degenerate and become reclusive and fanatical and delusional. and just thinking, why is anybody not listening to me? Someone just died not too long ago. They call him the Unabomber. He had those certain type of qualities as well, if you pay attention to him. And that's why a lot of those high consciousness people do go crazy and kill themselves. Okay? The incel community, I'm sure there's highly leveled people in that community, but they're deadly too, because they've degenerated themselves, and nobody came in and attempted to snap them out of it. It's too late for a lot of them, and that's why they become the lone wolves and extreme views. Okay, and they're stuck in delusion and fantasy, and they usually don't take care of themselves. So they're grotesque. Okay, let's be honest. But they don't see that, and they don't feel it, sense it, because they've lost reality, and so they come out and want to date a woman, and these women are frightened of them because they have allowed themselves to let themselves go. And their physicalness, because you are responsible for taking care of that too. Making sure you are clean and decent. So focus on making sure you don't fall back into that whirlpool and make it most definitely difficult to get you out. Think about the surges on the Florida beaches, and I'm sure on other beaches, where these people are drowning. Some of these people have been swimming for all their lives, and all of a sudden they go out and they drown. Okay, so, and then like I said, the seaweed coming up on the Florida coast. All right, what happened on the West Coast with that surging of water, and now lakes are coming back, rivers are coming back. Billions of dollars of crops are lost. So it is all cause and effect. It's all causal, cause and effect. Reap what you've sown. Positive, negative, masculine, feminine. No such thing as chance. No such thing as coincidences. Everything has a reason. There's a reason behind everything that's happening. So I just want to share that on this Saturday. I know it sounds, hopefully it sounds neutral. All right. You don't want anybody coming in here lying to you about, what's really going on. I don't do that. I pay, but at the same time, I can still enjoy myself, and I will. At the same time, I'm going to, live out some of my wishes and some of my goals and this and that and the other. I'm going to still live, but I just know that I have to know the path I'm taking, even though it's laid out. Sometimes there may be detours. Sometimes there may be something be blocking it. So I have to always be mindful of that, and and recognize that the energy in my thoughts as well just compounds it and make it worse. And some people, you're just gonna have to leave them. You just gotta leave them alone and let them be. All right, let them see if they can swim their way out. Chances are they won't. They will not. Accept it, okay? All right, so, and be gentle, please be gentle. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love, get everything ready for my appointment, and make sure everything is in order. So I just want to send peace and love on this Saturday. And trust me, I'll be back.